Welcome back to the podcast where we dive deep into books that completely consume our thoughts, destroy our sleep schedules, and leave us emotionally unwell in the best way possible. Today we're talking about Crescent Born by Reece Wilder. A dark fantasy packed with deadly magic, academic politics, forbidden bonds, betrayals, and one seriously powerful heroine discovering she was never ordinary to begin with. This book gives you dangerous trials, hidden fae bloodlines, enemies to lover tension, morally gray warriors, and a romance that turns into a fiercely protective bond trio. And trust me, the emotional damage, immaculate. We're breaking down the entire story today, including no major spoilers, character drama, political conspiracy, shocking reveals, and an absolutely chaotic ending that basically screams, Book 2
Session for
better bring
later
me
because we are diving
immediately.
into
So
Crescent
grab your
Born.
coffee, your
All
annotations,
right.
and maybe a therapy session
Now,
for later
Miss Wilder,
because
it is
we're diving
lovely to
into
have you
Crescent.
here with us today. How are you feeling?
Thank you. Good. I'm tired today too. I am feeling it. A little nervous because this one's new for me, but I'm here for it.
All right. Well, we'll start right off with the first question. What was the original spark or seed for this book?
Well, um, honestly, I love romantasy and I love reading wide shoes. So I was like, well, I haven't read a romantasy with a wide shoes. Not that they're not out there, but I was like, well, just let me kind of try and see what happens. And that was pretty much all. I just kind of started writing, and this is what happened.
That's awesome. It's really fantastic that it just flowed for you like that. Sometimes it can be really difficult, but the fact that, it wasn't is just, it blows my mind. That's awesome for you. How did you handle the most difficult scene in the book, and was it different from how you planned it?
I would say the most difficult scene for me in this book, really just in any book in general, is the fighting scenes. Um, and I know it's kind of, in my opinion, in fantasy worlds or romantasy worlds, um, the battling or the fighting scenes is almost like necessary. And I'm not the best at writing those. So what I did was kind of just channeled some of like the action movies that I've watched with my husband or just other things that I've read and pulled from that experience and put it into my own words in my book and just kind of tried to imagine like, okay, what would be happening in this scenario if I was watching said movie? Um, and mostly it was like with the Meyer Raths and at the very end uh with the king. I was thinking of book 2 for a second. With the king in book 1. Um and it kind of just worked out. I don't know. It didn't really change from my original plan. I had it there and I just kind of almost like forced myself to make it flow in the direction that I wanted it to end on, if that makes any sense at all.
It does. That's good. Sometimes those types of scenes can be really hard to visualize, and like you almost have to choreograph them in your head to get them out properly. So, kudos to you for that. Let's see. Okay, now this is one I really want to know. What is one thing that didn't make it into the final version that you wish had?
I am kind of bad about shoving all of the things that come into my brain into the book. So I don't actually have any cut scenes that I can recall in this series. I pretty much she's a little thicker, which I guess is kind of common for a romantasy series. Um So I honestly don't think that if it was anything, it was just like little scenes or little conversations, and I couldn't even tell you what they were because I just deleted them straight out of the manuscript. I know I've heard a lot of people keep multiple manuscripts, and I kind of wish that I had now, and I know moving forward that I probably should, but I always just edit directly on the manuscript, the one manuscript. And because I am really bad about, like, currently for one of the books I'm writing, I have 3 separate manuscripts because I saved one because I was like, I don't really know if I like this, but I'm going to save it just in case I want to change back. And so I made a copy of it, and then I found myself writing in the original, and I'm like, crap, what am I doing? So keeping multiple is a struggle for me personally because I have like attention issues and ADHD. So I get really confused on which manuscript I need to be in. So unfortunately, with this one, I did not keep the original or make a copy. I just edited directly on the main manuscript.
Okay, well, and a lot of times it works out that way. It certainly worked out for you, which is, yeah. What would you say is the significance behind the title that you chose?
So it is her heirloom, essentially. She is the heir. It's like their little sigil, I guess you could call it, of the throne. So in book 2, it kind of goes more into that. I think in book 1 also it talks about how there's that symbol sewn into her bag, I believe it was. It's been a really long time since I've even written or read this book. So, but and so it is the Crescent. So she is Crescent Born. She is, the heir of the Fey realm. So that's where that came from.
Okay. All right, let's see. Now, this one's a two-part question, okay? Now, what would you say is the best advice you've received, and what would you say is like the worst advice you received? Like something somebody told you to try and you did, and you were just like, that doesn't work for me, something like that.
Okay. The best advice is just write the damn book. just just write it. Just let it flow. If it turns into something, then that's fantastic. If it doesn't, then that's okay too. At least you got your thoughts out there and you put yourself out there and you did it. You wrote the damn book. Um, the worst quote unquote advice that that I ever received for me personally is to, and I know you asked this question later, but it kind of goes with this.
Hmm.
Um, write an outline. I can't go by an outline. I did try with this book because it was my first bigger book. The other 2 I hadn't written were kind of just like on a whim, and I was like, let me just see. And I deviated from the plan every single time. And it didn't end up anywhere near what I thought. I mean, it even ended up being a why choose, because originally when I sat down to write the book, I was just like, let me write a romantasy. And then a couple pages in or a chapter or 2 in, I was like, I really want it to be a why choose romantasy because I've never read one of those and I love that. So that changed too. So I can't go off of an outline. And I think it's just probably like my little bit of bratty side. I don't like being told what to do, even if it's by me. So it just doesn't work for me. Little outlines work. Like if I'm in a, okay, no, this is what I want to do, like going for the next couple. Yellow Wolf and I are actually working on a book now, and we were in the manuscript working on it, and we were like, okay, where do we go from here? And we just kind of typed out, okay, this is what I think, and that works for me. But a whole outline, just I can't do it.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm right there with you on that. Like it completely. Oh, go tweet.
Sorry. I was just about to say you are speaking to the queen of don't listen to myself nor anybody else.
It's hard.
It is. And like, for me, by the time I've reached a certain point in the outline, like it'll even reach the point where I'm bored with it by then by just trying to stick to the outline so hard. So I
Yes,
just want to
yes. And
start
you get
all
new
over.
ideas too. And you're like, oh, this is so much better. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm way off in left field, but oh, well, let's see where it goes.
Exactly right. Now, and you're right, we do cover this a little bit later on. What's a specific writing rule you believe in and one you think should be broken?
I remember. Okay, I know I answered the question and I was totally in my vibe yesterday, and I was like, yes, this is it. And today I don't even remember what I said. Um,
Go for it.
but I think geez, I should have wrote this down. Hold on. I think I actually might have.
Just remember, you don't have to answer the exact same way. We actually don't even
You
look at,
don't.
yeah, we don't look at the
Yeah.
questions because we want you to just have an idea of what we're about to ask you. So that way, if there's something we shouldn't ask, it's on the paper. You see kind of our outline of questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say an important writing rule is, for me, I like the reader to feel something. Um, whether it's emotional connection or they're furious with the author because how dare you kill off my or unalive my favorite character. But I think that is an important rule because if there's no emotional impact in any sense, there's no connection to the book and you're not going to remember it down the line. You're not going to be like, oh, yes, this one book. I don't remember what happened, but I enjoyed it. But
Mhm.
then versus other books are like, yes, that one devastated me. It was so good, or the love was amazing. The impact is there. Um, and one that I think should be broken is I think sentence structure and the pacing should be a little more flexible. Um, I don't know how to explain what I mean, but I feel like it creates a bit of like a stronger voice and helps
Mhm.
some readers become more immersive in their reading, if that makes sense.
It does, and like I completely understand. Like the comment you made about punctuation and stuff. Like it can be used differently. There is technical punctuation, and then there is creative punctuation. Like, does the sentence end or does it end a thought? Like, does that make sense? Yeah, I forgot how I was gonna word that,
Yes, see,
but
I'm there.
like,
No, yes, I
but
get it
yeah.
because people can commas also are very you can there's so many variations of ways that you can use commas. I am a comma queen. I love the commas and the semicolons and all the fun little things that you can use in writing. But what's frustrating is now, I'm not going to get into the topic, but like with the M dashes, I like a good M dash, okay? Like I do, but I can't use them because for fear, you know? But that's a different story. I'm not going to get into that. Um, but I do love the commas and
We
all the things,
we
and you
know.
can use
Oh,
them
We
in.
know.
Yes, I know y'all do, but that I don't like getting in that discussion at all. So I digress. But yes, commas, semicolons, I love them and I could use them all the time. And then sometimes I'm like, wait, does it go here? Does it even matter if it goes here? Am I gonna get judged for putting it here? So it's hard.
yeah, no, I completely understand. All right, so we're gonna dive back into your book, okay?
Okay,
Now,
okay.
which character in your book do you most closely identify with and why?
I would say Talon because he is fun and kind of sassy and sarcastic and he's a little witty, but he's also just like super goofy and down to earth, and I love that about him, and I might have channeled a bit of myself into him when I added him to the story.
He's a good character. He really is. I really like how like he's always there and he's just steady throughout the whole book. He doesn't, really go back and forth in his head, start doubting things. He's just there. He's there for her from day one, and it doesn't matter to him how that is. He's just happy to be there with her. So I really like
Yes,
his character.
commitment. I love
Yeah.
him.
All right. Let's see. what writers or books would you consider your biggest influences?
I do love like Penelope Douglas and Ruby Darling. There are so many. Honestly, I could not name them all. Sarah J. Maas. Um, Gosh, I'm also terrible with names. I just know that I love the books and I have them and I read them. I do those specifically. I love so much, and I will almost Rebecca Yarros. I'll read almost anything that they write if it doesn't want to rip my heart out and tear it to shreds.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm sensitive, apparently.
Let's see. So when you're not writing, what are some things that you enjoy? Do you have any other creative hobbies?
Um, I dabble a little bit in drawing for art for my characters. Which Yellow Wolf honestly takes most of the credit for, should take most of the credit for that because she always makes it so much better. um Graphics, but as far as like hobbies, I am bad about sticking to one particular thing. I will dive into something and be completely engrossed in it and then just be like, and I'm done with it. So I don't really stick with too many other things. What I was kind of afraid would happen with writing, but thankfully that is not the case.
Okay. Now that's actually another question. When did you first realize that you wanted to be a writer?
Last year actually, I want to say around about a year ago, May, somewhere around there. I had read a whole bunch of books the year before, probably close to like 200, and I was like, I really want to try and write a book. I just want to see if I could do it. And I wrote a small novella, and I was like, okay, that was super fun. Let me try another book. And then I wrote Veil of Shadows and fell in love with the characters. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm so obsessed with this. I'm going to keep going. And then that's when I wrote Crescent Born. And this book, honestly, I won't lie, was so intimidating. And I was so scared. And I am still scared of it. I know I probably shouldn't say that, but it terrifies me because it is so, romantasy is such an immersive world, and I do struggle a little bit with the immersive part as far as like world building and things like that. I have noticed I'm a quickie. I'm like, I want to get it out there. I want the characters to drive the conversation or to drive the story and the conversation to drive the story. So I do struggle with that. But after I wrote this one, Crescent Born, is when I was really like, okay, I love this. I'm gonna try and make something from this. And then that's when I learned to promote and actually kind of get my books out there and join TikTok and all of the things that come with that.
Nice. Okay. That's really awesome. And you talked about you pretty much already talked about how your writing has evolved and your journey with that. What's one thing you wish you had known before you started your publishing journey?
I wish I knew what my writing style was. That is what took me the longest to discover. So like in this book, it's a little more like staccato a bit and a little more lyrical than what I actually prefer. Um, I like I like it to flow a little bit, and I kind of like it to be more natural conversation when I'm writing my books, as if we were having just a regular conversation. We're talking about gonna, wanna, shoulda, woulda, like instead of actual should have. I prefer writing like that and just kind of letting the words flow across the page instead of it being more choppy and lyrical. Um, as far as everything else goes, I kind of wish that there was some sort of manual that was easy to understand as far as like publishing with KDP and how to make the book covers look right and what is a no-no and what is not a no-no. Are you allowed to use these graphics? Are you allowed to use these? What is okay? And that whole experience honestly stressed me the heck out, and to the point where I was like ready to cry, because then you see all these other videos where they're like, oh, well, you should never do that as a writer. You should never use these things. These are the only things that you're allowed to do. And honestly, I feel like that would help so many indie authors who are starting to know what is essentially a no-no and what is acceptable in the writing world, if that makes sense. I might be
That would
rambling.
be awesome. No, you're not. Like, hey, I'm drinking in every word because that would be fantastic. We need one of our indie authors to write a book on writing and publishing in today's publishing industry.
One of my friends told me to do it, and I was like, it's a good idea. And she's like, you should just do it. And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm not a pro and I still don't know. I just can only write about my own experiences
Can
and
I
what I've
You,
learned.
can I jump in real quick?
yeah, go Twink.
So here's the whole thing. Like, it's not even just the fact that everybody needs this manual. It's the fact that because you wrote the manual, somebody somewhere is going to hate you for writing that manual.
Yes, that too. I'm a people
That
pleaser and I don't want to upset anybody.
it's the worst thing because right now, and I've said this on my threads multiple times, cancel culture is very big right now. I don't agree with it. I don't think none of us here at Faraway Sister Haven agree with it. Um,
We don't.
and I feel like because it's so big, people are afraid to put their books out there right, which isn't right. Um, so the fact that we all see what's happening, but it's not changing, that's where the issue comes in. So I encourage it. Hey, if you want to tell me how to write a book, and trust me, as you see, I read up close to almost 500 books a year, you know? So
Hmm.
if you want to write that book, baby, that's something I would follow because at least then I have some kind of somewhat of something, because at the end of the day, where do you go if everything's going to be poked at anyways? We have
Yes.
authors with no page because they used AI because they're broke and they can't afford to get somebody else to do it. Well, what do? And then the people who say they're going to help them don't help them. It's a give and take thing. But at the end of the day, is it your work? Yes. Did you write it? Yes. That's all that freaking matters. Like,
Right. It's your sweat and blood and ideas.
right.
It shouldn't matter. I agree. I do. I know. And again,
It's just
the whole conversation, it's just, it
right.
is. And people, they're like, will learn how to draw. And yes, okay, that takes time and it's hard. It's not for everybody. People can't do it. And that's okay, in my
I just
opinion.
got into making covers for some of the authors because I would prefer you tell me, hey, if you make my cover, I'll give you a signed copy of the book and some lifesaver gummies, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, let's do it. What do you want? And
Yes, and that's wonderful. That's what people need because
yeah,
not everybody's creative like that. I'm
right,
not. Misty helps me so much in my covers because I struggle. I just don't have that eye.
right.
And I have other people who help too. And that is the kind of stuff that I feel like the indie author community needs because we don't all have that creative eye.
Right. And I've told Zero and them, like I am more of the author. I can write, but I am more of a painter. I'm more of a visual person. I'm more of the let me fix this detail type person. I am
Hmm.
not a sit down and write a book. I'm gonna sit down and write a like essay that's gonna get on your nerves by the end of it. So trust me, I completely get what you're coming from, but don't let this little we too old for that. Don't let this I I'm too old to be hearing I should not like this person. If you come, I had someone do that like a week ago. Well, why are you following this person? Because I want to get out. But
Yes, I don't like that either. Like, you shouldn't follow someone because I follow you, and you shouldn't like them. Like, I don't know. I like them, and they're my friend, and they're nice to me. So why should I be mean to them? I don't know. I don't.
Because I read her book and Stevie Ray is still in my heart, and I died 1,000 times about how Stevie Ray got killed. It's okay. That's that is what we want. That is what we should be focused on in the reader world. We should be focused on one, the book itself. I don't care about a cover. What is the book saying? Because
Yes.
Mhm.
it could look nasty on my shelf. I don't care. It could just be some pages on my shelf. As long as it's on my shelf, that's all that matters. So
Yes.
I
I
believe that.
do agree.
But just write the book and don't let the fear
Mhm.
of what is happening in this world deter you from writing something that somebody, it might not be everybody, but somebody out there is going to love your book no matter what you do.
Mhm.
That is
And
true.
something I
That's
tell
true.
myself all the time is, why not? Like I struggle with imposter syndrome all the time, so I have to tell myself all
Yes.
the time, why not? Like just
Yes. Just
why not?
write the damn book.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So we're getting close. And I don't know um if Twink wants to ask you anything after this. I know Twink, do you want to ask her the last question? Or do you want me to ask her another one?
Oh, let me get in here for this last question. This is my favorite part of the interview.
Oh no.
Okay. Oh, she put nada for this answer. Would you like to ask us anything? Is has that changed by any chance after now getting actually get to speak to us and actually spend time with us?
Um, I just I don't. Yeah, okay, so I being put on the spot too, I'm like, I don't know what to ask. It's just I always A, feel guilty asking people A, for help, or B, for questions, like with Misty in the books. I'm like, "Are you sure you don't mind helping me?" Or like now I have another friend too who helps me with my covers, Holly, and I'm like, "Are you super sure?" Because like, I don't know, I always feel so guilty.
Let's
Um,
let's say it like this. We so initially starting this off, we just was trying to have a website where we could, you know, broadcast the people's books because we saw a need. And then it
mhm,
turned into so much more. And authors needed editors, authors needed alpha readers. I have authors looking for alpha readers right now. It turned into arc reading. It turned into I got to get all these books and I got to read them because these people want us to read their book. And I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice, but at the end of the day, anything within our power is what we will do for you. So if that's I sit down on Canva and I make you a cover for your book, or I make a bookmark, or I make you stickers, or whatever. Whatever we do for you, we don't ask for payment. We literally just give you the document and tell you to do whatever you want to do with it. Because our whole thing is completely nonprofit in order to help indie authors that can't afford those high prices that people are charging.
I have been curious, like, I know editors, proofreaders, things like that. They're just like crazy expensive.
Yes.
So how do other indie authors manage to do that? I mean, if they're new and their books aren't making like all of this money, are they paying out of pocket, like from their own funds, to pay for these proofreaders, editors? Because there's like a whole slew
Yes.
of people who are supposed to go through your book before it even goes into beta. And I'm just like, how do they afford this kind of stuff? Because if they're normal people like I am, who work a regular 9 to 5 and are married and have all these children like I do, because I have 5, it's like, how do they pay for this stuff?
It
Like I
goes.
have literally oh
Go ahead.
Okay. I have literally talked to indie authors who have talked about living in their vehicle while they publish their stuff because there was no other way to afford it for them because they are paying out of pocket. And yeah, go ahead, Twink.
I so that was the whole point. So you just saying that was what drove my me and my sisters to start this, because the fact that it costs so much to do that, and then here two of us are stay at home moms, two of us work, but three of us are creative. Two of us have been reading books our entire, or three, four of all four of us have been reading books our entire life. All four, two of us have a college degree. One of us, you know, I went to school for it, but I didn't finish, unfortunately. Um, like Miss ADHD over here that can edit a novel in like an hour. Um, like we just didn't see the point of charging people for that because they're already having to put out. And we ourselves would rather have a book than you be out of pocket so much that you can't afford it. And that
Yeah.
not affording it and being of fear of putting out your book and, going broke, that is that drive. So we do have people that do it. Um, we're not saying we're professionals. We're not saying that, but we will definitely go through it and leave little comments and help you out as much as possible. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But that need is exactly what drove this. That need
Mhm.
for editors, that need for art readers, that need help. You've seen my pages. I can get on TikTok right now and blow an author up. But if the author, doesn't want me to, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So it's a give and take. If the author needs help, if they ask for our help, we're here. If we can't do it, 9 times out of 10, I know somebody who can. They
And
just
that's great. I feel like that's like it's a really good thing for the community because there are so many out there that just have no idea what to do or where to start or who to even reach out to because it is a little confusing and intimidating when you start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, if I don't know it, I will get you in touch with these authors that might know it. Like, come to our Discord and have a chat with one of them. They've been through the same thing you've been through. I might myself might not know, but they should, because they're do actively putting their book out right now. So
Mhm.
that's my go-to. If the authors in here all support each other, it makes sense to build that community and allow it to blossom by itself. And it shouldn't take us, you know, uh, you know, we're not fighting over you guys. We want all you guys to work together. So
Oh,
if we don't know it, I'm pretty sure we can find someone who does.
Yes, and that is great. There are a lot of super supportive people. You just have to find the right side of
Yeah,
TikTok. And I think I am on that side,
you are.
thankfully, and I haven't had any issues. And they're very helpful, and they will if you ask a question. And people are usually pretty good about being, oh, well, I can help you with that, or this is how I do it, and I love that.
Or this is who I go to, or
Mm-hmm.
and that's how it should be. Some, I hate to say it, there is a side of not just TikTok, Instagram, Threads.
Yeah,
There's a side that people literally are just in it to get your book, and that's it. They're not reading it; they're just getting the book, and
right.
that's not enough. You gotta read. You gotta do the reviews. You gotta, if you're doing ARC reading, those reviews matter. So,
They do.
and
They absolutely do.
the build up, the videos that you do, building this person up, they matter. I tell people all the time, I still video about authors I talked to 5 years ago because they still matter. So that is the big thing that people forget. You can go with someone who has 50,000 followers and they supposedly read a book maybe once a month, but all they're doing is showing off a book. Are they telling you about the book? Do they know what's going on in the book? Have they written a review? Like those things still matter.
Yes, the reviews are so important. I did not even know that. I think is it Amazon won't even start pushing your book until you have 50 reviews.
Yep. And they moved it up to 100 for a while during COVID. It was 100. You had to have
And
100.
that's just crazy because getting 100 ARC readers, period, not just getting 100 of them to actually review the book is so hard.
Yeah, I've watched authors talk about, I had 500 people want to be an ARC reader and I have 3 reviews and I'm just like, how? Why
Gosh.
what can we change in the book community to make that better? Because that right there is the issue right now. Everybody wants it.
Mhm.
Nobody will do the work once they get it.
And that is crazy too. Even just as a reader, when I was reading, I didn't know how important reviews were just from my own not ignorance, but I just didn't know. I was just like, "Ooh, I really love this book. This is super good." And then I would just hop on to the next one. I had no clue. So it's almost like yes, the ARC reader should know
Yep.
because when they sign up, it specifically says in there, would you be willing to leave a review? You can't force them, obviously. Um, but as a regular reader, I didn't know how important that was. So when I did become an author, I was like, oh my gosh, this is important. So I did go back and leave reviews for all the books I did read, but then I had no clue.
Right.
So it's like, do they know this? Because
No.
I didn't.
I think like at the beginning of the year because I kept getting asked how do you write these reviews because my reviews are always very detailed and I was like you don't understand when I read a book I go chapter by chapter I'm writing sentences as I'm reading the book to make sure that my review is a good review for that author. I was like this
Mhm.
I take the time to do these reviews. This is not something I just sit around lightly and do.
Right.
And but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how detailed the review is. You could literally just put this was a great book. I loved it and give it a 5 star, give it a 4 star, and that is a good review. That's all that matters.
Yes, agree. It doesn't have to be sentences or paragraphs, which those are great. And I do love reading those, but I do stay away from my own reviews. I'm not gonna lie. Because I'm
Most
like, I'm scared.
authors should. Most authors should. But that's the thing. Like, if you, I know I become preachy on this. I know because I have now I built up my little community over the last 3 years, and I have listened to the authors and I've paid attention. And in my head, I'm just like, why would I get a book if I'm not going to read it? And then on top of that, if I I am not the one to kind of DNF a book. I've done a couple and there was reasons, but I don't do a review on those. I just hit up the author and be like, "Hey, this is why I'm not going to review your book." Especially an indie author because they're already at the bottom of the totem pole. They don't need you to
Yes.
go in there and put a 1 or 2 star review and be like, "This book sucked." That that does not help any author at all. That doesn't help them get better, that doesn't help them excel at what they are trying to do. This is still their work. This is still
Yes, I agree with that.
so.
Oh, sorry, my husband texted me.
Oh
I
no,
do agree. I love the feedback, because I do stay away from my reviews. I've learned that lesson. I love it. So that is why I love with my beta readers. I will put in there like please like anything you want to share. Is there anything that can improve this? Because I always want to make the book better. I know it'll never be perfect, and especially not for everyone. But if there's ever anything that people are like, I feel like this could be a little better. I don't take that as like bad. I just take it as constructive criticism because every author just wants their book to be better.
right.
And I think That's good. If I am the same way. If I did not like a book, I will absolutely not leave a bad review because that hurts. I would reach out to the authors, but most of the books I did read then were higher authors, bigger authors, things like that. Because I didn't even know about indie authors. Again, I had no clue. I had no clue. I was so naive.
You are
But
not
now,
the
yes,
only
I
one.
so glad because I had no clue.
I think I was telling and it comes out I think next week is Lexi's interview or the 14th maybe. But Lexi was my first indie author I ever read, and me and her still talk to this day. Like I've read her books. I love her. She knows that we've helped each other through some pretty tough times. We've talked each other out of some dark moments. And that's the what I love because I didn't know what an indie author was until I met her. And that was 4 years ago. And it's hard to think that 4 years ago I had no idea about the community that I am now just like a cheerleader for, you know? So the just that that reader author connection makes the biggest difference in this community. And I think that's what some readers need to remember because just because you sit there and boost them doesn't mean that you're paying attention to something's going on with this person. It's still a person. It's not just an author, it's a
Right.
person.
Yes. You don't know who they are, just
Right.
what they write.
Right.
Yes. I do agree. I love connecting with my readers. I love when they message me or follow me on Goodreads or whatever it is because I'm like, "Oh, yay. Like I have a new friend."
I'm
I'm all for it.
I think everybody thinks I'm a bot because I swear I every time I like scroll through TikTok, I'm like, oh, there's a new indie author. Let me go look up their book. Oh, let me read this real
Same.
quick. Let me go send them a message. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, you don't know me, but hey, I just read your book and this part was really funny. And
Yes,
like,
no, we love that.
yeah. And some are like, you're a bot, get out of here. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm just crazy and this is what I do. Okay. But yes, reader and author relationships. If people would just build up on that, buddy, this community would blow the top 5 publishers out of business.
Concurred.
It would. I will let Repairable Zero. I'm done with my rant, and it was lovely as always speaking to you. I know I've bugged you about being on here, just saying, but all the hearts and the love and all that stuff.
All right. Well, Miss Reece Wilder, we have definitely enjoyed talking with you today. And Yellow Wolf and Misty, it was nice to meet y'all. And well, I hope y'all have a very good rest of the day. And
And once Misty gets kind of free, she's coming up. I already read her book, one of her books, but I'm just waiting for her to get free because I want on. And Miss Yellow, don't leave. I still gotta talk to you, girl.
Oh, Yellow. Are you in trouble, Yellow?